Bit channel. Today we will see Two Way Belongs to America by Bharati Mukerjee. Let's we see the short answer for this lesson. What does the title of the essay signify? The title refers to the two different ways one can belongs in America after coming to the country as an immigrant. One way is to embrace American culture and become a citizen. The other way is to retain one's identity as an immigrant working in America. What does the phrase cultural and psychological mongrelization mean? Mongrels are born of parents belonging to different breeds. In Bharati's case, she has adopted American citizenship and its culture despite having Indian origins. She becomes a mongrel not in terms of parentage but in culture and her ways of thinking. What do the sisters disagree upon, although politely? The sisters politely disagree with each other on how to belong to and live in America. While the author chose to embrace her American identity, her sister still chose to be an Indian at heart. What are the reasons for the author's sister to pity her? The author's sister pities her for her lack of structure in her life, the ensures of Indianness, and the absence of an unchanging daily core of value and beliefs. What does the author find pitiable in her sister? The author pities her sister for the narrowness of her perspective, the lack of involvement in the superficial pop cultures of America. What contentions does Mira primarily have against the new policy of the US relating to legal immigrants? Mira says that she has worked for the improvement of the American preschool system for 30 years. She says that if American makes a new rule regarding legal immigrants, such rules should be applicable only to people who arrive after those rules are already in place. How differently did the sisters respond to the demotion from expatriate aristocrat to immigrants nobody? While Bharati has fully accepted the change from being an Indian to being a part of the American society, her sisters still retain her Indianness by remaining an Indian citizen and planning to go back to India after retirement. How can Mira challenge the law when millions of immigrants are silent? Mira is confident because she is educated and fluent in English. The confidence that is gives her enables her to be angry rather than afraid and challenge the law while others are silent and afraid. What similarities are there between Mira's current situation and the author's own predicament in Canada 2 decades ago? The authors, while living in Canada, faced a similar experience when the Canadian government officially turned against its immigrant communities. She also felt betrayed and pained then. What is the price paid by an immigrant that an expatriate can forgo? The price that the immigrant pays an expatriate forgoes is the trauma of self-transformation. Describe the early experience of Mira and Bharati in the US. The essay tells about the two different immigrants' experience of Bharati, the author and her sister Mira. Both of them moved from India to America. Mira went to Detroit in 1960 to study child psychology and preschool education. Bharati went to University of Iowa a year later to study creative writing. Before leaving for America, they were identical in appearance and attitude. They dressed alike and held similar views in political and social issues. Both of them thought that they would return to India after their studies and marry to groom of their father's choice. However, things turned out to be different. Mira married an Indian student and settled there as a legal immigrant. Her contribution in the field of preschool educations were well recognized. Mira wished to serve there and desired to return to India after retirement. Bharati, on the other hand, married a fellow student, an American of Canadian parentage. She wanted to identify with the Americans and live their life. She knew the challenge that she might have to face in selecting a life partner like that, throwing away a long held traditions of the Mukerjee. Yet she enjoyed adapting to the culture totally and celebrated mongrelization. Instead of being a legal immigrant, she became an immigrant and American citizen. What response do the immigrants have to their experience in the US? In a family, two sisters who got exposed to the same kind of environment and situation react in different manners with their immigrants' experience. One is ready to accept the new culture to move from the expatriate aristocrat to immigrants nobody willingly, whereas the other one stick with the old. Mira, like the longer number of immigrants communities across the globe attached to her home country. However, there is some considerable difference exist between Mira and those hardworking, silenced, documented immigrants due to her English fluency, anchor, and confidence. Bharati too has undergone betrayal by the Canadian government some 20 years ago. She, along with her husband, lived in Canada and placed in a good job. In spite of her superior position in merits and job, she was discriminated by the local Canadian society. The fear of betrayal drove many immigrants out of the country. In spite of the disappointment with the settled society, Bharti feels to be like a part of the community whereas she lives either in Canada or in America. What were the things Bharti had to experience in Canada as an immigrant? Bharti too has undergone betrayal by the Canadian government some 20 years ago. She, along with her husband, lived in Canada and placed in a good job. In spite of her superior position in merit and job, she was discriminated by the local Canadian society. The feel of betrayal drove many immigrants out of the country. In spite of his disappointed with the settled society, Bharti feels to be like a part of the community wherever she lives, either in Canada or in America. Bharati concludes the essay by projecting the difference between Mira and herself. Mira lives happily as an expatriate Indian with a hope of returning India, then as an American immigrant. On the other hand, Bharati likes to put down her roots in the settled land. She is willing to undergo the trauma of self transformation in order to become a part of the settled land. This trauma is experienced by the immigrants, whereas the expatriate escape from this.
இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா மறக்காம லைக் பண்ணுங்கள், ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கள், கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்கள், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணி கூட இருக்க பெல் ஐக்கனையும் ப்ரெஸ் பண்ணுங்கள். தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் வாட்சிங்.